Everybody in?
We're gonna let everybody in.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Village of Cold Springs monthly meeting of the Board of Trustees. It's summertime. Our reports will reflect it and our table reflects it. 2 of our trustees are traveling. And a number of our boards have had no activity, which is not unusual in summer. So we'll hope this will be short and sweet. The first is the opportunity to request to vote, to add or modify an agenda item. Any requests? Okay, hearing none. Announcements. I have nothing separate and apart from what's coming up on the agenda.
Nothing.
Okay,
What?
reports from village departments. Village accountant herself is on vacation, so we don't have a report from her. Next, roadways and facilities. Is Betsy with us?
Yep.
Hi, Bugs. Do you want to give a report or do you want me to? You're muted.
Hi, how you doing? You can fire away on it. I trust you.
Okay, I've asked Greg to load up some photos and I want to bring the trustees up to speed on what we were dealing with today as part of your report, and then we'll talk about some other highlights quick. So we've been talking a lot about dealing with repercussions from last summer's storm, our ongoing storms, and also old infrastructure. And today, after Friday's storm, we've had 3 sinkholes around the village. This is the most severe. We're looking at Fishkill Avenue, just off Main Street. So sort of along the parcel where the Sanders live, the big yellow house on the corner there. There is a stormwater pipe that is big or high. There's a pipe that runs from it's a 15-inch pipe, I believe, a 12 or 15, Bugs? 15,
12
right?
inch.
12-inch that runs from the corner of the catch basin at Main that New York State upgraded in 1999, 2000 as part of the big upgrade. It runs down the east side, if we're walking south, it's on the east side, the uphill side of Fishkill. And do we have the one with the square would be helpful to see first?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a sinkhole there and we opened it. And what we found, we being Bugsy and his crew, not I, did not do any opening, but he called me to see that what we have there is this old pipe that is just below the surface of the asphalt. I can't tell what the
Sorry.
public is seeing.
They're saying.
Okay, so if you'll see, there's like a couple of inches, maybe 3 inches of asphalt sitting directly on the pipe. There's nothing to protect the pipe. So you may have noticed on that block that there's a little crown there. Well, the crown is there because the pipe has no bottom. I was able to put my whole arm up from underneath. It has no bottom. And the stormwater has been washing out everything around it. So the pipe was holding up the asphalt and there's nothing else around it. So Bugsy put lights in both directions. We went to the other catch basin. The farther catch basin is an old catch basin. It's an old brick catch basin. We consulted with the engineers. The move that's proposed in this section, because Fishkill Avenue is, it's like a yarn, a thread on a ball. You pull it and it all unravels. So until we're ready to do the larger work on Fishkill and Mountain, the plan is to isolate this pipe and replace it between the New York State catch basin and the catch basin in front of the old Cosentino house, the green one with the stone foundation.
Yeah.
It's a 19th century or maybe early 20th century brick catch basin, and it will be replaced with a precast modern one.
So this is I thought this was a water, like what is being conveyed in
This
this?
is stormwater.
It's
On
stormwater.
the east side is stormwater. Down the center, Bugsy, is sewer, and to the west side of the road is water, correct?
Correct.
It's marked out. You can see them marked out on the street because you'll remember we had a survey done of it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had a survey done
Yeah.
of this street thinking of as a CHIPS project before the
Yeah.
July storm had, so we do have fresh surveys here. Bugsy is going to, we do not, right now, we're having challenges with our excavator. Bugsy is reaching out to other highway superintendents to talk about the labor and equipment shares as we did on Northern Avenue. Anything else you want to add here, Bugs?
No, been in touch with Doug Hahn from Hahn Engineering. Working with him on what size pipe we need to upgrade to. I have to reach out to Silvio, who is New York State DOT in this area. He's gonna chime in with tying into that basin, which is essentially theirs. They installed it.
Right.
And I'm just gonna be reaching out to multiple highway superintendents in Putnam County. And we're all gonna try and get together and see if we can get this all buttoned up as a shared service project.
There has been initiative, I'm happy to report, there's been an initiative among the highway superintendents from across the county of their own, to get together and share services where we can to keep costs low across the municipalities. So this will be our first test of that process. It will probably be faster than bidding, obviously. So right now, the street is secured, the opening is secured with a metal panel. There's no parking.
Yeah,
there.
road plate.
There's a road plate, and you'll see there's no parking all along that side of the street. We hope it won't be for too long. And obviously, when we replace the pipe, we'll replace it at a reasonable depth. And it may be, we don't know, it may be the way it is because there's ledge. Maybe there was rock there that rather than going down properly through, it got laid on top. I don't know. We're gonna find out as we get in. But it obviously cannot stay at the surface of the roadway like that.
Yeah.
And I went into detail on that because I wanted to draw a comment. Bugsy has given a detailed report of all that he and his crew have been doing in the month. But these kinds of things, as we deal with our aging infrastructure, these pop-up issues, and we deal with bigger and more regular storms, these pop-up issues are going to continue to happen. There have been a lot of complaints about the condition of weed growth, not only on Main Street, but around the village and tree lawns and on village property. We know, and we're sorry that that's the condition it's in. We were down to 2 people for a period of time in the spring, and then 1 person for a period of about 3 weeks. We are staffed up again to 4, but that really set us off on schedule at a very critical time early in the spring. We are now staffed up, but we are behind. And things like this take priority. And also remember that we have shifted our method of storm response. When we know a storm is coming, Bugsy and his crew are out deploying hurricane fence along the waterfront. They're deploying the pumps in Cedar Street. They're deploying sandbags where we need them at catch basins that we know are vulnerable. And I will take that use of their time, and if I can prevent a resident's house from flooding, I will choose that any day over cutting the grass. So I'm sorry that we look a little shaggy right now. I would say if you're someone who would like to volunteer to help with tree pits, in the past, we've had more merchants than we do now adopting tree pits and helping to maintain them. You can see a difference. The tree pits that merchants care for and care about look great. And if others want to get involved in that kind of volunteer activity alongside their colleagues, you don't have to be a merchant, you can be a resident. We would appreciate help with those things as we get through this next period of what's going to be a very difficult time with infrastructure.
Can we suggest people just jump right in and go ahead?
I mean, yeah, if
If
you're
you see
walking
a
by.
weedy pit, go ahead and take care of it. Don't hold yourself back.
It's really satisfying to weed,
It is,
so
yeah.
there's a mental health component to it also. Okay. Bugs, anything else you want me to pull out from your report?
No, that's all. Just, my department and we apologize. We do not like the village looking this way. We're trying our best. We're getting hit from left and right between storms, collapses, everything like that. We will get it. It's gonna happen. It's just taking us some time. That's all. And I apologize.
Well, we appreciate all of it.
Thanks for your work, Lindsay. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you, folks.
Water and wastewater. Let's start with the good news. After that, we have an electric truck. It's in the field, it's being used. It needs to have the seal on it. It's being used by the water and wastewater department. Until our chargers are being installed, we are using town charging station.
Oh,
For the moment, yeah, at town hall, yes. We do have we have a grant for 2 of our own coming, for our facilities and then public chargers as well. Public chargers coming on Main Street. But until then, we're sucking our power. Thank you. And, reservoir levels are good. In fact, a few times they've lowered levels, because of rainfall. There were a couple things I wanted to point out. One, there is the auger. So the auger is like a big grinder. When solid objects come through the wastewater plant, they're ground by the auger. The auger is something that needs to be maintained all the time, over time. It's had some real, plastic cold spring duct tape repairs on it. We fixed the top portion of it in the spring. The bottom portion of it now has a problem. Matt is carrying it along until it can have it repaired. He's in process of working through that, but it is going to get loud periodically. So I know it's a nuisance to folks who are across the street at Springbrook and at other locations on Fair Street. It is in process. We're getting to a repair. It's a 1970 water treatment plant, and we've been keeping it going all this time. We're gonna have. Lastly, we've had a couple of calls about odors, sewer odors. They have turned out to be dead animals, not sewer odors. But some have been sent to me by email on a Saturday morning. I don't read email on Saturday mornings. If you have a problem like that, please call the police department. The dispatch will get them to the site, to the location. If there is an actual odor that if there's an issue that needs to be resolved, they have the duty phones for our water superintendent and the highway superintendent, and they'll get the help there that we need. But don't call me, please, and don't email me, and I'm not gonna look at it until Monday.
And to call the police department, not 911, for it is, what's the phone number?
The cell phone.
1 second, I never called myself.
I can pull it up. And it is on the website.
845-656. 3800.
There we go. 316-3800. And if you can't find the number and you can't call it, it's okay to call 911 and say, I don't have a life-threatening emergency, but I need a police officer.
The department numbers also on the website.
Yep. Okay. No report from code enforcement. I do know that, great, you now have an additional administrative staff member, right, Bob? In your code enforcement department, it's helping to keep things moving forward. Has started.
I don't know, I was away last week, so I'm not sure. I know we were looking at trying to get another person, so I know
Okay.
they look, and we also have, Jeff.
That's what I was referring to as Jeff.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, yeah, but we are looking at trying to do a joint, another full-time person between us and Putt Valley.
Okay, I didn't know if that was public or not, but I think that's a great thing, yeah.
Yeah, Justin on a month, yeah.
Jeff
That's
Adamowicz
been
is
helpful, I know that.
helping out very, very part-time in code enforcement, and as we're watching our highway departments do, the towns of Putt Valley and Phillipston are talking about ways that they can share service to get to full-time between them. Fire company, I don't think we have Jeff. Right? I'm sorry, I skipped police. We do have our officer in charge. Take it away, officer in charge Jackson.
For the month of July, the police department answered 217 calls for service. Nothing is really sticking out to me. In the call types, we did conduct 56 traffic stops, 36 resulting in citations. I do want to make a note to the people who have or may have received a parking ticket. At the bottom of the citation, there is a QR code for all payments, disputes, and inquiries. If you received a citation in error, or if you have proof of payment and you still received a citation, please provide that proof of payment with your not guilty plea. The court clerk will only be handling payments for the yellow handwritten citation. She will not be taking not guilty pleas in person. If you wish to enter a not guilty plea, check the box at the bottom of that yellow ticket and mail the citation into the court. Citations will also no longer be disputed via telephone or with the court clerk in person. Everything is either to be done by mail, online, and will be handled the proper way with the judge.
Can a person drop a ticket with a plea through the mail slot?
They may.
And we have something else helpful out front by the front.
There is a QR code also near the front door of the village hall, right next to the mail slot. If you want to place your payment in the mailbox, you're able to do that. And all the information you should be able to pull up via that QR code at the bottom of the citation.
Thank you very much. To make the clerk's job more efficient.
Yes.
I don't think Lillian, do you want to give fire company report? Are you here for fire company or events? You're here for events. So all of these reports are available online. We're not reading them fully into the record, but they are available there for your review. A couple things I would note, that it looks like summer in the report from July activity for our fire company. 3 mountain rescues, and 3 Hudson River boat incidents that the Marine unit responded to, including a boat fire. So, all volunteer. Right. Justice Court. There were, in the period for July, 46 charges among 40 defendants. The total income, $28,999. That is a high number right now because the court continues to catch up, transitioning from paper tickets to our the handheld device, and the beginning of our parking program. So that number for parking tickets, 22,425, is an amalgam of months from January to present. And we're hoping that as the court clerk gets caught up, it'll be easier for us to tell what's an actual month by month and not the amalgam, or closer to a month by month. There will always be a lag in reports because of processing the tickets. If someone waits 60 days to respond, that's going to show up in the report later than another would. It'll be a better sort of sense of what months look like. Okay, from our standing boards, we have very little. HDRB, no new business. Planning board, no meeting. Zoning board, no new business. Tree advisory board was busy. I will say, in addition to storm response, trees are occupying a lot of time right now for highway and for the office staff, dealing with concerns and requests. We are going to be tightening up the process to make it easier for the public to communicate with us about trees and easier for the staff to deal with. When Jenna's away, the chair is away till the end of the summer, but when September comes and we all get kids back in school, we're going to sit down with Greg and Bugsy and Abigail and bring the management of sort of tree complaint applications through Abigail's position. There is an online form. If you search for trees on the website, the form comes up where you can identify the public tree by its tag number, and say specifically what the issue is, and that helps us prioritize what gets addressed first, what's actually emergency or urgent, and what is a trim up. So we'll be communicating with the public more about that. But there were a couple of things that she wanted to make sure we talked about. She wanted to congratulate the Grand Tree Contest winners. She does note, people have also taken note that of the 14 new trees that were planted over the last year, 4 of them we have lost due to the spongy moth infestation and extreme heat. They will be replaced when the weather is cooler. We're still working with the village attorney on the borderline tree question. Haven't finished that yet. Thanks Bugsy for highway cleanup. And they have just put out an RFP for, I think it's a group of 5 trees
For pruning,
for pruning. Yep.
5 trees for removal or?
5 trees for removal and a chunk
14
of
trees
pruning.
for-
So that went out on Friday. So hopefully,
We'll replace it on the tree advisory board.
so that work will be moving forward. We did lose a village tree in the storm Friday night, on Benedict. It's an empty lot that where village used to, at the back of that circle at Benedict, the village used to put yard waste there. So there's nothing on the lot, but a locust tree did snap in the wind and take down power lines to 2 of the houses. So, not because the tree was unhealthy, just it was a lot of wind and and locust trees are weak. Okay, rec commission, I'll just say quickly, Greg, Jeff is not able to be with us tonight. But just so that you know, the park, the court was sealed last month. And the rec commission is working on restriping it for multi-use, including pickleball. I know it's all their age. So they're trying out different paints down there to see what they think is gonna work best. So that's in process. There's been much ado about the dog park. I just want to make clear very briefly that a dog park is a concept that's in the planning stages only. The rec commission asked for permission to fundraise for such a project. We partnered with Friends of Phillipstown Recreation which is a 501c3, to be able to fundraise for that purpose. The rec commission is meeting tomorrow. This is on their list of topics. They meet here at Village Hall. I think it's 7. The meeting is open to the public if it's something you would like to hear about or talk about, but they will be preparing an update for the public and for the board, and there will have to be a public process around this. I think there's a sense that this is imminent, it's all approved, and it's all a done deal. There's a lot of details we need to go to, including working closely with the dog control officer to make sure we have rules set out that are safe for everybody. So it's a good thing. People have been asking for a dog park for a long time. We'll make sure we get it right.
Do you have a location?
We're looking at Mayor's Park. We did, Dockside is used as a de facto dog park. New York State Park requires that dogs be on leashes of no longer than 6 feet. But the state has, despite multiple requests, not added visible signage about that. So it is used as a dog park. It's not a dog park. If park rangers catch you in the park with your dog off leash, you're gonna get a ticket. That said, we did approach Dockside because it is used that way socially to see if the dog park would be something that the state would be open to considering as an installation. It is their property, we have to ask. And they said no. And that's not just the local parks officials saying no. It's a statewide approach to dog parks. State discourages dog parks in their parks because of liability issues. So it's a bummer. And if the dog enforcement, Karen Jackson, who is our dog control officer, does periodically patrol Dockside, so have your dogs on leashes. Bummer. So Bob, the answer is we're trying to create a space and we're looking at somewhere in Mayor's Park. Okay. Anything else? Did I miss anything on that? Okay. Updates from our municipal partners. We have the deputy town supervisor with us, Clarity.
Thank you. Well, as pretty quiet summer so far. July was pretty quiet, and so August so far. Anyway, we had a climate smart. We had a meeting with climate smart coordinator Mark Uptown, and we have a $275,000 grant that we got. And we're going to use that out of our highway department for solar. But we do have some. She wants to know what we can do with some extra. We're not going to, hopefully not going to use all that money, but we're going to use it for some other things. So she suggested that possibly, looking into an electric truck like you have for the rec department. We're looking at that, and definitely going to get some electrical tools like blowers and weed whackers and stuff like that. That's definitely on the list to do. Garrison Water District, we thought we had everything under control there, but late in July, we came up with another big leak and it lost a lot of water again. But anyway, we did have it fixed on July 29th. We were able to get down here, dig up the street again, and the brand new pipe that we put in unfortunately cracked somehow. Anyway, so we fixed it. Kind of think it was from backfilling it and then the roller, put new bottom up, blacktop on top of it, made it cause it. Anyway, it's fixed now, and right now we're still buying water, but at a very low rate that we were. Our wells, as you know, summertime here are producing a lot of water. We have 3 wells down here. They're not really producing enough water. But also too, we do have the funding now from the county, and Ron Gainer's in the process of getting everything scheduled to get that new well hooked up and doing the boring and everything we need to get that done. At the rec department, we dug a trench and put a water line in from the well to the pavilion. So that's been something that we've been trying to get done for several years now, and that's been completed.
So the bathrooms will be,
Hopefully soon. I don't know if the water's turned on yet, but I know 2 weeks ago we dug the trench, we hooked up the line. I don't know if the water is actually turned on yet, but I'll find
Oh,
out
that's
this
gonna
week.
be great with
Yeah.
fall sports season coming to have bounces.
That's about it. And also, did you ask Adam about using an
Yes,
estimator?
we're in conversation with Adam.
Okay.
Bugs and Adam are meeting up tomorrow.
Okay, very good.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
So,
Yes, thank you. Okay. Report of the mayor and board of trustees. Do you have anything you wanna?
Don't have any action at the moment.
Okay, well, you just coming back to us after vacation. Welcome back.
well, I'll mention a couple things. One is, I guess, I already shared this with Mayor, but, had an email that was kind of concerning that, these grants that are from NYSERDA, these clean energy community grants, including the ones that we've received, when you get the points and you're told you get a grant, they're not holding the money for you. And so you are still competing with the other municipalities for a finite amount that's left. And we got an email saying, you better hurry up because the money's running out. So we have a grant that for $175,000 that's due toward the end of October. And I think we have to move on it and submit our application sooner than that. So we've been planning that it would be for heat pumps for the building. So like, I'm happy to reach out. We can talk, I'm happy to reach out to Justin to get that moving so that this grant that we think of that we have, that we actually secure.
Do we have any possibility, do you think, of getting to the 225 level before the money runs out? Or we don't have a sense of how fast it's going?
I don't, so I asked how fast it's going and maybe they'll have some kind of sense. There's one more grant, that's for $250,000. If we get, now that we got the truck, if we get all the chargers that we've planned for, and get the community installs more heat pumps in our residences and we can track them. If we get all of those things and we submit it, then we would get the $250,000. So I think, we'll keep moving quickly toward that. But at least we just don't want to lose the 125. That would be really
No, that'd be a
terrible.
disaster. So is the assembly, I don't know if it's the assembly, the senate, the governor, are they withdrawing NYSERDA funding? Or
There's 20,
are they gonna renew it?
well, there was $25 million in this pot for the whole state. I think initially we thought, wow, that's a lot of money. And we're up at the top, we'll surely get it before it runs out, but maybe there's been a lot more uptake than they expected.
Okay.
So that's the amount that is depleting, that we have to compete against. We also were told that NYSERDA is ending this program.
That's my
And
question.
we haven't heard anything, I think that caused a lot of public, reaction to it from municipalities that really like the program. I haven't heard what they decided. But their plan was to, shift toward the Climate Smart Communities program which is grant-based, which is different, a competitive grant-based, which is different.
It's the only source of state money that is not so hard to
Yeah.
nail down.
Yeah, and the Climate Smart grants are 50% match. 50, which is a big deal. So let's do everything we can to at least get the money in this round. So that's one thing. So hopefully we'll get that moving and more soon. And then just like a kind of a cool thing that is under discussion, just came from our meeting, through the Climate Smart Task Force and the Chamber, we're exploring the idea, sort of feasibility of doing food scrap recycling with restaurant businesses. In across Phillipstown, it would be a town you know, townwide. So, so if you're a restaurant and you haven't filled out the survey that you got in the mail from the chamber, fill it out. Thank you for Flower for filling it out. And, you know, we're gonna look at pricing and program structure and things like that. But it would be a really, I think there'd be a lot of support for it. Restaurants are interested. I think it'd be really cool, but we have to make it
Yeah.
a workable and cost reasonable thing for the businesses.
Yeah, we're doing this pilot program with the school.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Wow.
great. That's a great, like, especially on the education side too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that saves so much food waste from the trash stream of the Lord.
Yeah. Tons that gets thrown away every day. It's crazy. Wow, I didn't know that. Well done. Thank you for partnering with us. We've talked about all the things that I've been working on mostly, but I just want to give you an update on where we are with Knives Out. So their attorney gave some comments on our contract, and we've sent them back to our attorney. Doesn't look like that's going to be a big deal. The site scout has come back, made some additional proposals. They're now looking at drone on 2 days on Labor Day at Dockside. And then coming back, they think they'll wrap it up all on the 7th, but they would like to reserve the 8th as well in case they don't get it all done the following weekend. So I can't remember, there's a new person, is Brendan O'Rourke is now our primary contact. He was here last time. He's coming on Friday to meet with Matt and me to go through the locations and figure out what's workable. So we're almost there. It's almost resolved, and thank you very much for the research that you did. Your research jived with my research, and Greg has been taking that forward and turning it into real numbers. So we'll have a contract ready to roll. You. Board business. The first, approval of resolution 2024, setting date and time for public hearing, chapter 118. So just to bring, we discussed this when you were away, Eliza, so I'm just bring it to speed. So we have enabling legislation from New York State, thanks to our Senator for a hot second, Senator Scoopus, and our former Assembly member, Danny Galiff, to collect local occupancy tax on hotels, motels, overnight accommodations. It is a simple process for us to, and a very much a by hand process for us to collect from hotels and existing B&Bs, not short-term rentals, but proper B&Bs. And so this draft has been, we've circulated a few times since May, so that the public's clear on the structure. When you have enabling legislation from New York State, there's not a lot of variation. You have to stick pretty close to the language that's laid out in the legislation. What I proposed to the village attorney, and he has helped to structure, is that we not create a new code chapter, but that we keep it in a single chapter on taxation. So we would, the opening structure of the local law would be, we hereby create multiple articles for this law, insert property tax, or insert, yes, the property tax that exists, which is really a paragraph at this point, and then continue on to an Article 2, hotel motel occupancy tax. So the draft is built from the enabling legislation. We worked with other existing codes and Dobbs Ferry in the town of Woodbury, and then the village attorney had additional comments. So that is what I would hope to take to public hearing. Last week, we discussed 5%, as we had in the past, which is the maximum that we're allowed to levy. And we did confirm that putting this in place, just like with chapter 126, we're not yet ready from a regulatory perspective to collect for short-term rentals. So this is the get us going with existing hotels and B&Bs so that we can get systems in place. So the enabling legislation is here, but we wouldn't be enacting the whole chapter for short-term rentals at this stage. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Discussion.
It kind of, did have a chance to look at the draft and it generally looks good. Like I saw it as sort of pieces pulled from other codes that I
Mhm.
think I had looked at in the past.
Yeah,
too.
you did.
So, it's, yeah, looking good. I wonder about the 5%. I know we have the flexibility to go anywhere from 1% to 5%. And I feel like we learned a really hard lesson with parking meters and wonder if it's better to start in the middle, but I don't really know how it'll affect our hotels, but it would be kind of nice to get, I mean.
Well, that's why we're having a public hearing, so
Yeah.
people can give feedback.
Yeah, so I wonder if we should, like, reach out to them and see if they can just come and participate. Because I think their feedback would be helpful during the process.
Sure.
And
Can
we're
you
already
speak
reaching out to them
Yeah.
Okay,
to,
great.
to understand what the feasibility is for implementation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the conversation is come to the public hearing. Please let your thoughts be heard, right? We're already there.
That's great.
So Greg has been communicating on a process
Thank you.
standpoint. And you have, I believe you have let folks know that.
I've let folks know that we're
contemplating
contemplating implementing this at 5%. Been trying to understand what's necessary from an innkeeper standpoint to make that happen and what the timeline is for implementation so that once they begin collecting, we can understand what our timeline is for remitting and receiving the payments. So, that process, the conversation about the percentage has been part of that process.
Okay. I am not aware of, and looking at the other municipalities that have been granted this, this levy capacity, I'm not aware of any that have opted for less than 5%, have taken less than the full amount. And we also, it's dollars that we need to offset visitation costs.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
no question about it, like, we have a really tight budget and where we can find it, it's good, I'm not against that, I just wanna make sure that we don't our businesses that are local and a part of our community. And, I'm not even sure how we would figure that out until we put it into place. But one thing I did wanna mention is, now granted, our technology systems are still kind of in getting settled, but the T2 system does let you collect, I believe, things like this tax through the technology, so people could pay online if we wanted to make that shortcut.
The innkeeper needs to make the collection on their side.
Right. But they would then pay the,
So you're saying remitting
file
back
it,
to us
yeah,
via
and
the
pay
T2
it,
system?
yeah, that's an
Oh.
option, if we wanna look into it, we can dig into that, but.
And it's good to know that there's that capacity, and it would be, the more things that we can make easy and electronic, the better. Think at this, to start, Michelle would like to keep things very simple because it's a small group and easy to manage. And then as we get our feet on the ground, we can figure out what other mechanisms would be helpful. I would like to come back at some point, like to come back to a discussion of, can't remember the name of the software we were looking at. For short-term rentals, Granicus, yeah. But we're not at that stage yet. This is simple.
Yeah, and I think having Aaron on the board now, who's a more technologically sort of oriented person, he might have some more affordable options for shortcuts.
Yeah,
Or
that's true.
like
That's true.
algorithms that we can put into place on our own without having to spend that much, because it was a lot
Good point.
for that system, but we can look at all of that. But this is great for moving forward.
Awesome. So how are we feeling about, if we set the hearing today, we've got enough, period for notice to hold it on the 28th of September, so that it's in place and ready, August, so that it's in place and ready to roll for September.
Yeah, that's 10 days, 2 weeks?
It's 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think
A
that's
few
fine. If
application cycles.
there's anything to look into or communicate, it's just a little time to do it.
Exactly.
Would you like to make the resolution?
Sure. Resolution 24-2024, setting a date for time for a public hearing on proposed local laws amending chapter 118 of the village code. The following resolution was offered by myself for adoption and seconded by Trustee Bozzi, to wit, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Cold Spring seeks to update the village code by amending chapter 118 taxation and set a time and place for a public hearing to consider such amendments. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved, the village board hereby determines that it will be the lead agency with respect to the review of the proposed local law, the project, in accord with New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and Part 617 of the regulations implementing SECRA, since there are no other agencies that have the authority to approve the project, and let it be further resolved that a public hearing be held by the village board in order to receive comments and suggestions regarding the proposed amendments to the above listed chapter and receive any comments concerning the potential adverse environmental impacts of the proposed legislation in accord with SECRA on Wednesday, August 28th at 7 p.m. at Village Hall, 85 Main Street, Old Spring, New York. And let it be further resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause said public notice of said hearing to be given as provided by law. On roll call vote.
Trustee Starbuck.
Aye.
Trustee Bozzi.
Aye.
Mayor Foley.
Hi,
Ayes have it. Motion carries. Trustee Frymark and trustee Phillips Woods are absent today.
You?
okay. So, on to the world of, further into the world of New York State grant programs. I know the town has taken this up recently as well. New York State has recently required local communities to sign on to a new pro-housing requirement to be eligible for a number of state grant programs, including the DRI and the New York Forward grant programs, which we've discussed coming back to at some point after updating our zoning. To give a sense of scale, that's a $5 million grant. Another is the Mid-Hudson Momentum Fund, and there's several others that come through Empire State Development. I attended a seminar on DRI and New York Forward last week, and representative from the Department of State basically said, if you haven't passed this resolution and done the documentation, don't even bother putting your applications in, we're not reading them. So the state's serious about it. So if we plan on, and when we do, plan on continuing to pursue competitive grants provided by the state, we need to ensure that we're in compliance. So our zoning code, since we updated it in 2023, already meets one of the two eligible pathways to program certification. And there's a couple of other documentation steps that we need to complete, including the one that's on our agenda tonight, which is passing a resolution related to the program. So we provided the board with information. There's a ton of information about this on the New York State HCR website, hcr.ny.gov. You can also see a list of all of the eligible programs where this will now be in the list of requirements to qualify. Discussion?
I'm glad that we're ahead of it. Thank you for keeping us up to date on that and getting ahead of the line.
Well, and thank God that we have recently updated our zoning code in ways that, the point is, we were already as a community thinking about the goals that are laid out in the program, and we already comply in many of the aspects. We just need to do the work. Would someone like to make the motion?
Cool. Resolution 25/2024, applying for pro-housing community certification. Following resolution was offered by Trustee Bozzi for adoption and seconded by Trustee Starbuck. To wit, whereas the Village of Cold Spring believes that the lack of housing for New York residents of all ages and income levels negatively impacts the future of New York State's economic growth and community well-being. Whereas the housing crisis has negative effects at regional and local levels, we believe every community must do its part to contribute to housing growth and benefit from positive impacts a healthy housing market brings to communities. Whereas we believe that supporting housing production of all kinds to our community will bring multiple benefits, including increasing housing access and choices for current and future residents, providing integrated, accessible housing options that meet the needs of people with sensory and mobility disabilities, bringing economic opportunity and vitality to our communities, and allowing workers at all levels to improve their quality of life through living closer to the employment opportunities. Whereas we believe that evidence showing that infill development that reduces sprawl and supports walkable communities has significant environmental and public health benefits. Whereas we believe that affirmatively furthering fair housing and reducing segregation is not only required by law, but it is essential for keeping our community strong and vibrant. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Village of Cold Spring, in order to take positive steps to alleviate the housing crisis, adopts the pro-housing communities pledge, which will have us endeavor to take the following important steps. Streamlining permitting for multifamily housing, affordable housing, accessory dwelling unit, supportive housing. Adopting policies that affirmatively further fair housing. Incorporating regional housing needs into planning decisions. Increasing development capacity for residential uses. Enacting policies that encourage a broad range of housing development, including multifamily housing, affordable housing, accessible housing, accessory dwelling units, and supportive housing. Permitting and on roll call.
Trustee Starbuck,
Oh.
trustee Bozak,
Oh,
Mayor Foley,
aye.
the ayes have it.
It's affirming to read that and think, yes, that is in our zoning code.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And of course, it passes, 3-0, two in absence. I want to point out one thing for the public to know. This is what the state lays out as the resolution language, and they do not permit any modification of the resolution. So it is written by the state.
Not our creativity.
It's not our creativity, exactly. Although we have plenty, but that's not it.
Not bad, but it's not ours.
Okay, let's see, what is next? The next is related to, Fair Street Survey Project. So, we have a bunch of CHIPS money to spend. One of the blocks that has the greatest pedestrian challenges is the end of Fair Street between Fair and Northern. There's tree work that needs to be done. There are some work around water lines and sewer lines that needs to be done, et cetera. In order for us to begin planning for that work, whether it's there, and decide whether we want to proceed with spending our CHIPS money on that block or another block, or both, if we can stretch it, which is what I'm hoping for, we need to do a survey because there is not a recent survey. So I asked Han to bid out surveying fair from Maine to Northern. They sent out 9 companies and received back 3. We do have an element in our procurement law that allows us to consider best value. My recommendation to the board is that we accept the Beatty and Watson survey. It is $1,100 more expensive than Rowan Land Surveying, but it can be turned around in 10 business days versus 6 to 8 weeks. And Beatty and Watson has been, everything we've asked them to survey, they've been quite speedy on the turnaround. So to keep us moving forward and save time, it would be my recommendation that we accept the Beatty and Watson bid. So that is the presentation discussion.
I'm okay with that. I think that they're really reliable. We work with them often and have great reputation.
And actually, some of Fair Street, they have just recently surveyed for the sale of the church on the east side to south of the Catholic Church, because we have a midpoint in front of our building. So they've got some data already from that work.
That's fine.
Let's make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the bid for the Fair Street Survey Project from the Beatty and Watson.
It's
Make a
resolution.
resolution.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's
I
only
didn't
when
advance that many
I like that
pages.
you're getting creative.
I was getting, yeah. I was trying to speed it up here. I'm sorry, I don't.
I can do it.
Thank you.
Make a
We got it?
motion to accept resolution
Oh, I
26, 2024, accepting the bid for Fair Street Survey. The following resolution was offered by myself, trustee Starbuck, for adoption and seconded by trustee Bozak, to wit, whereas the village of Cold Spring is qualified for CHIPS funding under section 10C of the state highway law. And whereas the village has identified repairs to Fair Street as a project eligible for CHIPS funding, and whereas a land survey of the project is required as part of CHIPS project evaluation, and whereas the village did solicit proposals from professionals specializing in these projects, and whereas the village received 3 proposals for the project and 2 letters declining to participate, and therefore it is hereby resolved that the village awards the project to Beatty and Watson Surveying and Engineering PC for the land survey of Fair Street at a cost of $4,100.
Trustee Starbuck,
Aye.
trustee Bozzi,
Aye.
Mayor Foley,
Hi.
ayes have it. Motion carries 3-0. 2 absences.
Thank you, and just so you know, Bugsy there is some info, like Bugsy is doing a couple spots on sidewalks, but we're gonna have some conversations that nobody wants to have about trees, but it's the reality situation. We've got big trees where we should not have big trees, and they're becoming dangerous. Okay, next is annual, I can't believe we're here already. Approve a request for Church Street closure on Sunday, September 1st for their Labor Day block party. It's like the best block party of all time. Officer in charge, Jackson and I talked to Drina Fagan today. I believe we sorted through concerns we had over traffic and parking. And this is the best part. She said we probably have a 75% reduction in traffic on Church Street since residential parking went up. People pass through once, they see there's no parking, they're not looping again. We have a Church Street resident in here tonight, and she said, tell the board thank you. So I'm really happy to hear very positive feedback about residential parking. Any concerns about, it doesn't conflict with other events. It doesn't conflict with street or anything like that, yeah.
No, it's great.
The drone might catch the block party happening.
That might be
Which is fine.
fun.
That would be
We
fine.
did discuss that.
What?
I said we did discuss.
Yeah.
There's no conflict. just
And
thank
actually,
you.
the drone is
The fun.
doing, their shots are sunrise, sunset. We'll find out for sure on Friday. But I did talk with Brendan about it today to say that we had this request. And he thinks that we can work around it. Great. I think that's great.
Yep. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for a Church Street block party on September 1st from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Okay, the next one is an approval that we don't get requests for very frequently. The village does have a requirement in its code for door-to-door solicitation, for you to have a license to do it. And very rarely do people actually come in to ask for it, and it's not often that residents complain, but we sure got a complaint. And so, we have a request from Sunrun Solar to have, salespeople in the field in Cold Spring. They're requesting, let's see, what's the date range?
He wants it until the end of the year.
Till the end of the year, 7 days a week, 10 in the morning until 8 at night. I think this is far too much myself. And I'd like to have a board conversation about it. What were you pointing to?
Nothing,
I thought you
I
were
was
pointing to
looking
something.
for more information.
So this is a solar company, and they've been selling in the village for a very long time. But all vendors should be doing this, should be getting a license to solicit. And it's dropped off a lot, so it's chapter 71, on licensure. It's dropped off a lot since the local law was put in place. And it refers to a fee in the schedule code, which is $25 per person per day. So he's asking for 7 days a week from now until
From now until the end of the year.
the end of the year, and 10 to 8 is, I think it's too long. I think
Why does it need to be on the weekend?
I don't think it needs to be on the weekends. Oh, I mean, maybe they'll find people home more frequently.
They're
But-
door knocking? They're not,
They're door
leaving
knocking.
flyers?
They're door knocking.
Okay.
I think that level of approval, it sounds like you're feeling the same way. It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, didn't they just like Wednesday to Saturday or? like
They're
a
gonna do whatever
portion?
they're gonna be allowed to do whatever we say. So whatever we feel comfortable with is what we should apply.
Do they have to pay in advance for the dates? Then they are they should be reasonable of how many days they wanna do this.
Do they
They're
realize?
$25 times.
$25 a day?
Yeah.
They know this?
I told
Yes,
them
but-
there was a fee.
But we
Well-
told them, go ahead.
I explained to them that until I had a defined answer from the board, I couldn't give them a total. Right?
Also,
Because
we
it-
need to know from them how many
And
people they
and
would
they didn't
bring.
know how many people, what days. So until we had the details, right, which would come upon approval, I couldn't calculate that for them.
Maybe thinking about cost benefit.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, it's,
Like $750 a month times,
For
it's
months.
four, so
$3,000.
$3,000.
yeah,
So maybe they would pay that.
2,200.
I mean, I am pleased that they're asking permission and not charging ahead.
Yeah.
And that they very quickly complied when we addressed the fact that they were going door to door without a permit. So I mean, they came in the same day and put in the permit. I don't feel comfortable with 7 days a week. I don't feel comfortable after 6 PM. People, say that again.
The 10-hour window is pretty
So our
wide.
window is pretty wide and
Mhm.
people deserve privacy in their family hours in the evening.
So when are people home that it'll work for the company? That
It's
it'll
not our job to make it work for the
will-
company, right? Their job, they're asking for 10 to 8.
Mhm. No, I mean, I think the 6 o'clock is a good cutoff. I think that's
Yeah.
good, 10 to 6.
I mean, I
Chris,
think I'd be okay with noon to 6.
12
Noon
to
to
6,
six?
12 to 6, you don't wake people up too early if they work a second shift or something like
Mhm.
that.
Alright,
It's daylight hours, so considering that it's gonna start to get darker sooner, you don't want people canvassing door to door when it's dark out.
right. But they wanna catch people when they get home from work.
Sure, but maybe it's not the best business model either. I mean,
It's, yeah, it's very strange old fashioned way of working.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Wednesday through Saturday or Wednesday to Friday?
I
or-
like the idea of reduced days.
Yeah,
Do you have some,
Yeah, I was totally
Thoughts, Matt?
eliminate Sundays,
yeah. keep
and
Sundays
the
off.
hours definitely 6 o'clock end time, because nobody's gonna want anybody knocking on their door.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine how this works. People don't answer their doors very frequently anymore.
And I think
We all know that.
if you made one weekend date available for them, because in case somebody's not home during the week, they
Mhm.
could leave a pamphlet, but shorten those hours on a Saturday.
So,
Not till 6 PM.
no, like
you
10 to
know,
2 on a
maybe
Saturday.
few hours on a Saturday,
Like 12 to 4.
something like that, if that many.
12 to 4. That's
12
maybe-
to 4, just to get the people who they may not have been able to reach during the week due to work or other circumstances. Give them a little bit of time on the weekend, but not the entire day.
I'm fine with that.
Are you suggesting one date? One Saturday in October, or you're saying?
That is an idea. I was thinking if they're doing it every day during the week or a set number of days during the week, give them the Saturday. But I think that would be a better idea, that if they're going to be doing this, they're gonna be doing this till the end of the year. Give them,
Like one Saturday a
give 'em
month?
one Saturday a month. I think that's more than enough, and I think that's very reasonable. For them to just visit the places where they could make contact.
I have to think that they would be. They've got a budget to spend. They can't be intending on focusing on the 900 households in Cold Spring from now till the end of the year. I mean, I feel like it's just a request to get clear spot. So if we narrow it to on Saturday, third,
Third
I don't think
Saturday.
it matters, but third Saturday, from 10 to 2, 12 to 4, what do you think?
12 to 4.
I think people
Four
sleep.
sounds good, yeah.
What time do you want someone knocking on your
Yeah.
door?
Yeah, I don't wanna,
On Saturday?
Right, I'm wearing, drinking coffee and in my slippers, no thank you.
and maybe a way to be more flexible, we don't know how they're balancing this with their others, but to say one Saturday a month and, at most 2 weekdays a week, and then they can pick the days
The harder,
Hard for enforcement.
yeah. to
No, but then,
regulate
and then they
it.
make the application with that, but to go like.
I would say choose your.
Oh, so
Well,
they
instead
give us
of
a
us
schedule, they give
picking
us a calendar.
one Saturday, it could be that they're like, well, we just signed something with Mount Kisco on that date.
OIC is making a face
I-
over here.
Because then the issue of enforcing that comes up.
No, they have to revise their
They have to
application
propose,
to propose the dates.
could be
Oh, so then they
Tuesday,
would have-
Thursday,
Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Like, we're picking dates out of thin air, they might have a rationale. I think what we're just trying to do is to give a reasonable
Yeah.
limitation. So we tell them those limits and then they can revise their application to conform to our
Yeah,
limits.
but people have a right to privacy also, so I think.
I'm comfortable with that suggestion. Please revise your application to propose 2 weekdays a week. And
And
one Saturday.
One Saturday within the time frames,
within the time constraints, yeah. And those being, I think, noon to 6 during the week, right? And 12 to 4 on a Saturday.
That sounds good.
Yeah, okay. So, we'll table this until the clerk communicates with the company. Thank you for your help, OIC.
Do we have an updated application?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, this is
We
the
will update
application,
it.
so
Last
we
from
can
the
negotiate it.
past.
Yeah, there's like, none of these people are on the village board. A lot of these staff are gone. This
Yeah.
is what we had. We get it so rarely.
Yeah.
But Greg will update it. Yes, I'm like, ooh. Okay, so I'll make a motion to table it.
So table entirely.
With those suggestions.
I think we have to have a vote to table.
Yes,
Second,
I make a vote to table.
I made a motion and you
Sorry,
second.
second.
All in favor?
I,
It's not good on process.
Thank you. I think everybody's retired, I think. Okay, parts of your code, the code you have not yet explored. Okay, the last thing, almost last thing, second last thing is hub. The hub, oh, it's right in front of me. It's right in front of me. The hub is wanting to do its annual 5K again, Saturday, September 28th. It does not overlap C Street. It's very early and it's done. It's the same route they've always done. I think Matt, you and David already talked about route, right?
I have a meeting actually set up with him for Friday. We're gonna sit down
You
and
want us to
discuss
hold
it.
on approving this?
If you could, I'd appreciate it. I will have all my concerns out of the way by Friday.
Okay, we
I
can
just wanted to sit with him and discuss everything.
table it till next week.
Yes,
It
there
looks-
is gonna be a fair amount of police involvement for this. So I just wanna make sure that we're all on the same page before we approve that. So I would like to speak to him
Sure.
and discuss it present it to you.
Yeah.
Obviously, the board, to see if it's something that we need to do.
He is actually at a hub meeting across the street and said that he'd be willing to come back if you wanted to get us asking questions tonight. Would you prefer to do it?
Well, I spoke to him prior to
Oh,
the
you
meeting.
did? Okay.
Yes, and we set this up for Friday morning.
Oh, okay. There are a couple concerns that I have from having volunteered in the past. At Wall Street. See, are they doing Wall?
yeah.
They have before, and yet.
Yeah, they do that really steep
Yeah.
bit.
We did
So-
have it last year.
It's here.
Yes.
So Elk Kendall.
The challenge is, traffic, vehicles need to be stopped here. Because if cars get down here, then they're attempting to turn onto Marion to avoid Wall. So the traffic needs to be stopped further up there. The other weak point last year was, I think we addressed it last year, but I'm maybe confusing years in my head. At Depot Square, having someone on the Depot Square side and on the Main Street side, whether it's a volunteer or a cop.
I was at Depot Square last year.
You were at Depot Square last year.
I believe we also have the React team that is going to be there to assist. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
that
sure.
Everything, all the bases are covered. We discuss everything, so there's no surprises on that day.
And then the other thing that we do need to talk about, which was a disaster last year, is that there was the rogue organization of an alternate 5K that ran through the village. I can talk with you about the organization and how we might approach the organization, but it created confusion for runners. It created
At the
Really-
same time?
at the same time.
Oh
There
my
were,
God.
there were some, I don't know, there were some interpersonal issues involved, as I understand it, which resulted in the formation of an alternate route, which was very, I know, it's Cold Spring, fucking Cold Spring.
Like herding cats.
It was dangerous. It was dangerous. And people got lost on the route because they didn't know, what was this my route? Is it the alternate route? The cops didn't, no one knew it was happening until it was happening, and our officers suddenly had runners going in different directions. So that cannot happen again. So let's talk about that.
What time's the event supposed to start? 9 o'clock?
They,
Since the run, so-
9:30 is the run start.
They set up really early.
Are you the road planner?
No, I participate every year, I just want
Okay. So we'll table this till next week as well. Next we have minutes. Eliza, the workshop you won't be able to vote on, which means we have to table it because we don't have quorum to vote on that one. But the monthly meeting minutes from May, we can vote on. Any comments? No, look good. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 22nd, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You? That is the end. Or do you want to open for public comment, or you?
Is there anybody else? There's.
I think it's just the current.
Here, okay.
I'm gonna switch.
Do we want to make a motion to open for public comment? That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we agree to take some public
I'm
comment.
gonna switch hats for a second, and I'm gonna become vice president of the fire company.
Okay,
The fire company has been notified about that road closure on Church Street, right?
Yes.
yes. Okay.
Because that will be a problem if there's an alarm, because our entire red zone will now be not available to us.
Oh, no, but it's gonna be closed. Are we talking, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about Fishkill. You're talking about Church Street?
Yeah.
It's only going to that part, we're not,
So we're gonna pull in the other one.
your
Okay.
the front
Just like
half of
every
the
other
firehouse
year.
will be available.
Okay, that's all I wanted to check. All I wanted to check.
Okay. Anything else?
He's here.
Oh, so David, you're back. We understand that you had a conversation with the OIC prior. You two are gonna meet on Friday. We'll put this on the agenda for next week.
Okay. So, next week,
Wait, we don't have a meeting next week. It would be the 28th.
so then can I like do stuff like,
So once, I think from, well, let me poll the board. From my perspective, once he's working with Matt, you're gonna need it for advertising, et cetera. Sorry, I'm thinking this through in my head. I
right,
need
and,
a date.
and insurance, and also I have to go to Nelsonville and to Haldane, and I gotta get approved by them, but I'd have to be approved by you first.
Can we approve pending, OIC approval on Friday?
And I'll just go ahead and say,
Yeah,
that,
that's fine. I mean,
you know, whatever, Officer in Charge Jackson suggests is what we'll do, obviously. So,
As you always have.
yes,
So
yeah.
I'm comfortable approving it pending the OIC's approval.
that'll be very helpful
Yeah,
for
okay.
us.
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great.
You came in at
You
just
came
the
in
right
just
moment.
the right moment.
Oh.
I did, the comment that I made from experience last year and previous runs is, I know it was not you all, but we can't have an alternate run happening at the same time. We need to do what we can to reach out to that, whatever organization organized the second run.
That was, the turkey trot.
Oh, that was
That
the
was-
turkey trot. You're right. It wasn't you guys, it was Haldane.
Well, so I'm a little upset that no one tried to copy us, but.
Well, now that it's out in the ether, we'll see what happens.
So let's see what happens. So that was the turkey trot.
It was the turkey trot, you're right. I was thinking it was cold weather. Motion to adjourn,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Is that your quickest meeting ever? It was